Right, super quick update on JASMY. So if we look at this in the short term, looking at this on the 4 hourly candles, you can see we're putting in something of a descending triangle type pattern. Now, this is really a line of best fit. We are on the 4 hourly, so obviously when we do come up, sometimes we do have a couple of 4 hourly closes. But I imagine if we look at this on the daily, we wouldn't have had I mean, we basically haven't had any closes above this. I mean, if we draw this on the daily, we can draw it like this, and then, you know, I'd basically say this is a pretty perfect descending triangle formation that we do have currently going on for JASMY. So the apex of this triangle, let me move this over, get the right target. The apex of this triangle is coming in the 8th of April. So I imagine in the next week we're going to have some massive volatility coming in for JASMY. If you've been watching my previous videos, you know I've been sitting on the sidelines. I have been waiting for a potential trade position that I could potentially be entering for JASMY. Now, I did highlight this potential bullish pennant in the last video. You can see we had the neckline of this right here. We had the big flag and this pennant formation right here. Didn't work out. We did break below the bottom of this, so it is probably a good idea that, you know, we are obviously sitting on the sidelines still. We're waiting for a position of strength to play our next trade, and this could potentially be happening if we come back down and backtest the 0.5. So my view hasn't changed. If you've watched my previous videos, let me get rid of this because this is the zone that I want people to take note of. Let me mark this as green, so you know this is where I potentially think the bottom is going to be for JASMY. This is where I plan on taking my next trade. If we come back down to the 3 cent and have a very, very strong push up, personally, I think I'd be waiting for a daily close once we do hop out of this descending triangle formation. Until we do that, I will be sitting on the sidelines because there is still potential for us to come down to either the 618 at the 2.5 cent or this previous local top region that, you know, this was where we initially wanted to make our previous trade, around about the 2 cent, but to be approximate 0.023 cent. That is where we are looking to make a trade. If we do break down from this triangle, back test it and have a push up, this is where I'd be entering my trade. That's basically all I see for JASMY. I mean, don't get me wrong, like in the short term, we could potentially be coming back down into this green box, but that is still very bullish if we look at this in a more mid to macro term perspective, because like I've been saying, I do think this is the bottoming region for JASMY, where we have come down. We backtested the 786 down here, and we've had a massive push up. So it's really not the end of the world if we come back down to the 618 or backtest this previous resistance, this previous local top. Because I think if we come down to the 2.3 cent, this will give us the opportunity to backtest these previous levels where we're still uncertain if they are support or resistance, because this could be a dead cat bounce. I've highlighted before, when we do look at JASMY, I mean, you can see this dead cat bounce. I mean, you know, it's somewhat arguable that this is a dead cat bounce because this was basically a 25x, which is kind of crazy, but you can obviously see we basically fell down 99.6% and then proceeded to have this bounce. So if we flatten the data, I mean, you know, I don't feel too harsh calling this a dead cat bounce because we basically just went boom and then went like this and then fell off the table. So that is a dead cat bounce in my opinion. If we are good, and what I mean is, you know, when we had this big bounce, we never backtested any regions of support or resistance. It basically was just a straight line up. We barely backtested any Fibonacci regions. We didn't backtest the breakout region. And from what I've highlighted before, JASMY is very euphoric. So taking its time, coming back down to this breakout region at the 2.3 cent, this would give both the RSI and the MFI so much room to move to the upside. Because if we do come down to the 2 cent, I imagine the RSI would be around about the 30 region. I imagine the MFI, which is the money flow indicator, would be around the 20 region, and then, you know, that would be a lower high from this bottom in my opinion, that would give us a lot of room to move to the upside. So all in all, this is a hypothetical. This is my scenario that I'm kind of leaning to, because this is what I want to happen. I want us to break down to the 2-3 cent because I want to play from a position of strength. I want to backtest this breakout region. I want to backtest this local top and flip it as support. If we don't necessarily need to come down to here, we can backtest the 618, which is at the 2-5 cent. I think that's also an extremely bullish scenario. So you know my position. I'm looking to play from a position of strength. I'm not looking to FOMO in all the way up here while we haven't confirmed any of these previous regions as previous resistance flip as support. So if we come down to the 2-5 cent, have a big bounce, so be it. I will enter a trade. If we do come down to the 2-3 cent, have a big bounce, I will enter a trade. That is my number one scenario. I think it's the most bullish to have us cool off for a bit. But nonetheless, this is what I want to happen. This isn't necessarily what's going to happen. We're putting in a descending triangle right now. This probably has a pretty decent chance of breaking to the upside. So as long as we don't come down below the 3 cent region, there's absolutely nothing to worry about. So if we do take our time, like I said, the apex of this is like in another week. So if we do come down to the bottom again at 3 cent and then start to break out, this would also be a very nice region to make a trade. But in my opinion, like I said, I want to play from the ultimate position of strength. I want a back test of the 2-5 cent and the 3 cent. So I'm just sitting on the sidelines. I'm waiting for more confluence. I'll update you if we break out the top of this descending triangle. This would be a very nice trade. This is also kind of like a bigger bullish pennant. I mean, if we take this, you can see this is pretty perfect. If I make these lines thicker, because there's a lot of noise on my chart right now, so just excuse that. I mean, there's so many Fibonacci's on here, but you can basically see this is a lot clearer now. We are putting in a massive bullish pennant. So while I do think it is possible that we could throw back to anywhere in this green box, it isn't a necessity. As long as we hold the 3 cent, I think we're going to have a strong push up. I am hoping we do break below 3 cent because I want to enter around the 2 cent region. Once again, I think the back test of the 2 cent is the most bullish scenario. This would give us a much clearer indicator. This would give us a lot more confidence that this local top region, this bottoming region, is previous resistance flipper support. So that's what I'm waiting for. Keep an eye on the 3 cent. That's your make or break it level, at least in the short term. So that's all I see for JASMY. Best of luck if you are holding it. Once again, none of this is financial advice. It's just my opinion on the market, and you've always got to do what's best for you. Cowboy out. Peace.